Here we are, Ethynville Bro 420, doing a little video on homemade street lights. We have some LED bright white, and we have some LED dim white. Now this one here, this is the first kind that I have been making, and this is what's on Ethynville. So, we have here a nut, a piece of copper pipe or aluminum pipe. Copper works better, or brass. You got another piece here to make that bend right there with a piece of wood here. You take and let's see, you take the copper pipe, you insert it into the hole, and then you would pull out and bend up. Just keep pulling out and bending up. You drill your hole as you were going to stand this upright, and drill your hole at an angle. So then you can work that piece of pipe right up and out of the hole, kind of like here. You just take and you work that up, and what you end up with is a short little bend, something like that. Made one for N scale, not real sure why, but I model HO, but hey, whatever. Just trying to see if I could do it. And then here, this one has a flat head, so you take your connector, put a little piece of plastic, clear plastic on here, glue it on, and cover it with Bondo, and leave an opening for your LED light. Slide your LED light up the hole through the pipe after you bend it. Ta-da! There you have it. After a good paint job and some clear coat, you won't see the pipe. And depending on the style of the head you want, you can shape it with the Bondo. It shapes very well. It holds its strength. I've also been thinking of an idea for one that would, a female piece, where you have the connector goes into this one. I've opened this one up, so now I have a square on the top of a round part that I can insert to a pipe. Insert it in there like that, and that could be a different style also. But these connectors, they come in handy, not only for connecting wires. With a little imagination, you can make some street lights yourself. Alright guys, here we are, Ethynville Bro 420, showing you how I do my little lights for even these little tiny HO scale or whatever scale you're doing models. The printout ones you can get off the computer and print them out on your printer, laser printer, so on and so forth, and then you glue them to cardboard and you make your own little models. Well, me and the boy, we did this one on one of his days off that he was sick from school, so I decided that we needed a light to shine up on the general store sign. So what I have here is all set up to show you guys how I made that light. Now I took a small piece of copper wire, solid strand copper wire, nipped the casing off of it. I took these bead caps for doing bead jewelry and stuff like that, and kind of because they got a nice little flare decorative design on it. So then you take and you'd want to insert that onto it kind of like that. Now you're going to take your soldering iron and you're going to solder that cap onto the wire as close to the casing as you can get. Closer the better. The things you will need: some solder, some nippers, bead caps, 22 gauge wire. You will need LED with resistors, very small LED. I've tried to find paint that will match the green coating on the 22 gauge wire. Pretty close, but it will also paint on the metal, on the bead cap. Need some flux, and you may need some shrink tubes. That's a tin of flux. I'm going to move you just a little bit, making sure the soldering iron is hot and clean. So, now, put some solder on here. We want to take your piece of wire, dip it in your flux, get your bead cap to flip over, insert it in the hole, get it down to the plastic, and go ahead and solder it on. Now if it's not straight like you really want it to be, touch the wire, heat the solder up, and get it to straighten out for you. Pretty much all you need to do. See that there? Now put your solder iron down, take your nippers, come right inside that bead cap, snip that away, snip the wire away on the inside, and now you're good. Alright, now I also forgot to mention you're going to need a small pen drill and one of the small bits. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drill a hole for the light to come in. So you want to cinch that right up close to the wire as you possibly can get. Okay? Pick a side, doesn't matter, anywhere on the flare you can get a hole drilled into it. Okay? So now that you have your hole drilled in to your cap, you can take your drill out, and you can try and straighten that out just a little bit. You want to also be careful not to put a tool on this coating. This plastic coating will mar up, even with a thumbnail or a fingernail. It will crimp it. You will see it when you go to paint it. So what you want to do is you want to take one of your LEDs out of the package here. Here we are. We got an LED with a resistor. We remove it from the rest of them. Now you're going to want to take and you're going to want to very carefully cut the coating off of, or the shrink tube off of one end of the resistor with the wire on it. There you have it. She comes right off, no problem. You want to take your soldering iron, you want to drop that resistor right off. There you go. Now, take that shrink tube off. You want to take both wires together. Take them, and you want to feed them through the inside out. It's like threading a needle. Now that you have your LED in your bead cap soldered onto your wire, 22 gauge wire, you want to take some time and bend it around. The wire will bend, and you want to try and get it centered so it will sit flat and be centered. Don't know if you can see that, but right on the center of the 22 gauge wire. Now I take some Gorilla super glue here along with the paintbrush, because you can choose to paint it on or you can choose to drop some on. Here it's just easier to take the LED light out like that, get some right on the bottom of it, get a good drop on there, okay? Put your super glue aside for a moment, turn your LED so it will line up with the top. It's a little tricky, but you can do it. You may need to coach it into place. Okay, hold it with your finger, wrap the line around, hold her tight. Try not to glue the light to your finger. I just filled the whole cap full of super glue, and we're going to let that dry, and then we'll paint her up. I just taped it with a piece of black masking tape. Now I'm also thinking, because the whole LED is submerged in super glue, I hope it still works, for one, but for two, I don't think it will short out, because there's super glue in between the connections from the tin bead cap and the positive and negative feeds on the LED. So with that note, I will show you one that I have done earlier, and we're going to see if that will work. Alright, here we are. We have one that I have took the insulator from a connector for electricity. I took the insulator off. One of these. Oh, can't see that. One of these. Here, you put on your put those in for your connection on a terminal block. There we go. I got it now. You take the insulator, slide it up a thin piece of aluminum tubing or copper. Copper works better. Brass works pretty good. I have no problems painting on them or soldering to them. The aluminum does not really like to take to the tin solder. Super glue works better, but I filled that cap right there, which is one of these, the, what are they, the Brad paper fasteners, and you take off one of the little clips on there, how you can spread them out, There, we'll see if we can't dump them all out here. There, you got 2 of them here. And you'd take them and you'd insert them onto your folder or whatever, and you'd bend out your little clippy things there, and you'd have something like that. One of those is one of those, which in turn, if you take off one of these, then you can insert it into the pipe. You score a line down it, not really cutting it but creasing it, and then you bend them, and you can have a parking lot light. That's the top of it. If you were flying over, you'd see that. And let's see, you would see that sticking up out of the ground. That would be your concrete dome around it, so if you hit it with a car or a truck, it doesn't ruin the pole and it doesn't take the pole down. So now let's see if this will actually light up, because I did fill that cap full of super glue and I let it dry overnight, and now we're going to try it. Alright, now off camera I have hooked up a little wall wart, and I have plugged it in to see if this would light up. So as you can see, I got it blinking, and seeing how it was filled with super glue, it still works. So on that note, we're gonna post this video.